another top quality speaker for you coming up from an organisation that everyone knows. It's Australia Post, talking about how they're embracing automation and changing what we thought we knew about a traditional organisation. So please join me in welcoming Craig Harris.
First of all, can I say thank you to Mindfields for putting on this event. A community of practice of what this is such an important part for all of us to participate in, to learn from, and already from Rocky and the Shadow Minister, I've taken away quite a number of points that I found not only relevant, but completely aligned to my experience, and in particular, the items of mandate and advocacy, progress, and what we are doing in corporate Australia versus what our peers are doing elsewhere, and what is possible to do and what is possible to achieve in our various organisations. So first of all, thank you to Moed and to Mindfields for your very, very generous opportunity for everybody today. So Australia Post is, let's move on from that. It's about 10 years ago when I was about 15 kilos lighter, so I always like to put that photo up first to show what's possible when you're in a transformation opportunity. 4,000 sites, 200 years old. It's also in the middle of a disruption. 5 years ago, there was 3.5 billion pieces of post sent. As of last year, that's gone to 2.6. So that's almost a 50% reduction in 5 years in your core business. It's quite a staggering stat. Although, coming up in the next 6 weeks, there'll be over 2 million parcels delivered per day. And I'm sure if I look around in the audience, who hasn't purchased something, who's probably not doing it right now? It's how we operate, it's how we live. So there's opportunities for businesses to transform themselves from what they were to what they are now. Post has over 11 million delivery points, 750 services for business and government. So that might be digital identification, that might be transactions through banking and finance opportunities. And probably most importantly, for every job that exists within Australia Post, there's another job elsewhere that is generated, fulfilled across Australia. So that's something that everyone is very proud of. So that might be people starting their own business. It might be someone that is out of corporate Australia and trying an entrepreneurial spirit. So there's something that is quite a unique proposition that Australia Post offers. In terms of drivers of tomorrow, by 2022, e-commerce will be $22 billion. It's $17 billion last year. So you want to participate in a growth market, this is it. It also facilitates 2.2 small businesses with less than 20 people. So the S in SME, as Minister Husak spoke about earlier, people need to help and support businesses such as those. But that's the external front of house. What's Post like behind the scenes? So 2 years ago, we decided and were mandated to promote robotic process automation within the back of house areas of Post. Why? Because we wanted to find out whether is automation an either or? How strong is the entrepreneurial spirit within Post? What is possible in a 200-year-old legacy business of 35,000 people? So across the 2 years, we've realised Post is a very complex animal. There are thousands of processes, thousands and thousands and thousands of processes done by the thousands and thousands of people. It's a huge scale. We've realised that our customers working with us will give us the best outcome. Co-design, whatever label we apply, that is how we build success. It's not just necessarily replicating what we do today with a bot to make it go faster, as much as that has benefit. Our employees, there's one in particular that I try to reference in these types of situations, who the average tenure of the area of post that we started this little experiment in is over 17 years. So they're the average. So there was people that had over 50 years experience that didn't want to retire, still happy to come to work every day at 73. The people that operate in your business today know how the business operates, know how to connect with your customers, and there is the magic sauce to make automation work. That's how you design things correctly, how you understand the insights that your customers have, what your customers want, and then apply the right tools and technology to make it go faster, to reduce the risk, to improve your governance, maybe to create capacity, maybe even to exit that capacity. Because what we've found over the last 2 years, that the benefits are real, they are there. It's your choice what you do with them, whether you use the capability to do new things, whether you use the capability and people leave the organisation, which does occur. But for whatever FTE benefit is either created or exercised, there is as much additional benefit in things that you didn't know existed. So that might be, for instance, how many transactions are done, when they are done, how many times there's rework or errors. Automation gives you, and analytics gives you that insight that you just never had in this situation. Other businesses may be more advanced, potentially, but in an old legacy business, it didn't exist. So we now understand what happens across the business, the drivers, and then most importantly, how to change them. So ultimately what you do as a stakeholder, whether that's exercising the capacity, it's ultimately a decision for each of the business, and that's the mandate and the alignment that will come. So, Mo, I'll get you back on track reasonably fast in terms of a timing perspective, and I must say to Moet, thank you, because last week when Moet confirmed that the conversation today, that I said I've just left Australia Post actually. So Moet, thank you for being very generous with your time. And I also respect the protocol that you put up at the start of the session. But the one thing that we need to do more as a community of practice in automation, the human capacity challenge issue is absolutely real. We are desperate for skilled resources in this space, desperate. A 50-year tenure employee at Australia Post is learning automation. There's people across the back of house operations of Australia Post learning how to code, learning how to design, learning how to be solution architecture. People want to participate in this field. They're desperate to. Just need to guide and coach them through the challenges that inevitably exist. The second learning that I have is there is an absolute role for alignment, because we are speaking in a language and in a capacity that people just don't understand. And whether you're from a technology background, whether you're from a design background, whether you're from a coding and automation background, there's roles and a community to align what we do to get the absolute best outcome. So Paul and Moet, I'm happy to take questions if we need to across the audience, but otherwise thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much. And initial question I had is, you mentioned the size of the workforce there and people that have been there a long time. When you're looking to introduce something like this, how do you work against the sort of natural resistance that comes from people that, this is their job?
Well, it's more than just that. That certainly does exist, but it's more probably more prevalent from a mandate sponsorship perspective. We all know this is a great idea and needs to occur, and I'm not evangelical about it, I think I'm pragmatic about this, there is still more work to go from a sponsorship and advocacy perspective, because we haven't solved it yet. So as I said, Australia Post has been going in RPA for 2 years. We are probably 12 months slower than what I would have loved to have occurred. There is more opportunity for us all to go faster with the right sponsorship, with the right support. Failing is okay, as we've mentioned, Rocky mentioned this morning. There is more opportunity for us to have the right cultural support to enable automation technologies to progress.
Can I ask what you think has made things be slower than you initially thought? Is things going wrong, or is it just more difficult?
From my perspective, I see an executive level that has a fear of failure, and so Rocky's stats this morning, earlier this afternoon, I should say, I found very interesting. I have felt and certainly experienced that there is more work from an openness. Fear of failure is more scope for us to drive more into that area. While the benefits are absolutely real, but you need to walk through this process in a diligent manner to make sure that people are brought with you, the benefits are exercised correctly and understood correctly. But the most important thing, especially for a big, large, old legacy organisation, is to start. Start incrementally, build and learn, and as you go, while you're developing your people. And there are people from Post in this room that have done incredibly well because of the coaching and guidance that they've been able to have throughout the last 2 years across our automation journey.
Were there any other questions from the floor? If not, please join me in thanking Craig.
Thank you.